In this video, I'm going to show you how I paint the Celestial Lines Space Marine chapter using this Terminator Sergeant as the example. So let's go straight onto the desk and begin painting. So here he is. I've primed him in a grey brush-on primer. I've been using brush-on primers a lot lately. And yeah, grey's a good starting point for this chapter. He's got a couple of 3D printed parts from our web store as well. And we're going to go straight in with the gold using Dragon's Gold from Two Thin Coats. So in this video, I'm going to be using some paints from Two Thin Coats and Citadel, but most of the Two Thin Coats range have Citadel equivalents, and in this case that's Retributor armour. And it's just a case of applying it all over the armour, and I'm going to give it Two Thin Coats. If you use Retributor armour, you might actually just get away with one, as that covers really well. But I do really like this Dragon's Gold. So after a couple of thin coats, this is how he is looking. And now I'm going to go all over with Carroburg Crimson, and this will make the red, let's make the gold really sort of rich. That's what I want. And what I like about gold is you can literally wash it in any colour you want. So for your Celestial Lines, perhaps you want them to have a green wash, or maybe even a purple wash. But I really like the red. And now it's had plenty of time to dry. I'm going to go back in with the Dragon's Gold. And this is just to layer on the higher points, leaving that red in the recesses. You can see areas where the red sort of settled a little bit and just sort of left the armour a bit stained. So I'll go back over all that and get a nice flat gold. And now it's moving on to the metallic blue on the shoulder pad. So this is a Model Air Arctic Blue. So you could get away with painting the shoulder pad silver and then putting over a blue contrast paint to get a similar effect, or mixing some metallic medium in with a blue paint. But I really like this colour. As you can see, I probably needed to shake it a bit more as it's going on a bit thin, so I do give it about 3 thin coats. Next up, we're going to go on to all the black areas. So this is on the gold, all the pipes and the ribbon between the armour plates. And yeah, I mean any black's fine here, I just use Abaddon black. And I take some Wizard Grey from Two Thin Coats, but something like Dawnstone, Redmond Stratum Grey works really well. Even Eshin Grey if you want darker highlights. I apologise that it's not really focusing too well there, but I'm just edge highlighting all the black areas. Next I'm taking some Leadbelcher, and this is of course for all the silver areas. So it has little trinkets and little crux symbols and things like that, all going to be silver, as well as for metallic areas on his Stormbolter and of course the blade of his sword. And they're all going to be washed with our good friend Nuln Oil. So I just apply this over all of the metallic areas. And now I take some Ironbreaker to highlight. And again, it's just a case of edge highlighting around these metal areas, picking out some of the higher points. I'm going to take some White Star, or you could take some White Scar if you're using Citadel. Any white really. Just for the chapter symbol, and I'm going to paint all the little skulls white as well. Now you could do them silver if you prefer. I just want to do them white just so they stand out just a little bit more, and just make the armour just a little bit more interesting. And then I take some Sentient Turquoise. Now I just noticed on this clip I did need to put another coat of white on the chapter symbol, and I do that before the end. But Sentient Turquoise now is one of my favourite colours from the Two Thin Coats paint line. I'm not sure if GW have a sort of turquoise equivalent. I'm sure there's many paint lines for doing those turquoise, but I think the turquoise works really well on Celestial Lines. It really complements the armour, and it just looks different to the blue on the shoulder pad. And then Cursed Blue is going to be for the highlight. I'm just going to sort of layer up on the raised areas. So I could have gone into all like some fancy wet blending or glazing things here, but this is just a quick tabletop paint job. So as long as you sort of keep the paint thin when you do this, it doesn't look too bad in the final result. Now I'm going to take some Raygun Glow for a final highlight. So you can see where the previous colours dried. It doesn't stand out too much, so we just give this extra highlight. And yeah, again, just keeping the paint thin and layering up. You don't always need fancy blends unless you really, really want to, but just for a tabletop standard, I think it's just fine. Hobgrot Hide now is going to be for the lion pelt. Then I'll take some Rakarth Flesh. This is going to be for the Purity Seal and also the claws on the pelt as well. I'm going to take some Mephiston Red. This is just for the wax seal of the Purity Seal. Sometimes I quite like to use Screamer Pink for Purity Seals as well, or you could even use a green, which looks quite nice on the gold armour as well. Then I'm going to take some Catachan Flesh. This is going to be for his skin. So in the lore, Celestial Lions usually have brown skin. There's sort of like an African theme going on with them, hence why I use the Conda swords for a lot of my miniatures, which I think they look really cool as well. Then I'm going to wash all of these previous colours with some Agrax Earthshade. So starting with the pelt here, I'm going to do the claws as well, and the Purity Seal, and also his face. And then we can layer up some highlights, starting with some Morghast Bone for the pelt. So you could dry brush this, but I'm just carefully, I'm kind of over brushing a little bit with these layers. Then I'm going to take some Rakarth Flesh just to go back over the claws and the Purity Seal. I didn't really want to use a lighter colour here. And on the Purity Seal, I'm just keeping the Agrax just in the deepest recesses. Some Evil Sun Scarlet now is just to highlight the wax seal. So I do a little highlight in the middle and just do the outer ring as well. Some Blood Reaver Flesh is used to highlight the skin. So I kept it very simple, just on the skin, just a base coat wash and highlight, as I have done with a lot of areas on here. If you want, you could take up a notch with an extra highlight. Maybe add a little bit of white into the mix. And then I'm going to take some Warpstone Glows for any little lenses. Also the eyes and the helmet lenses, I'm also doing green. And then lastly, I take some Moot Green just as a little highlight for these. Again, this is something you could spend more time on, add a bit of shade to the bottom of them, but I just kept them like this. Again, just a quick tabletop standard just to get them on the tabletop. And here they are. So this is a whole squad together, using some 3D printed parts from our web store, such as the claws. And yeah, I'm quite happy with how they turned out. Again, it's just a quick and easy paint job. I don't want to spend too long on these, but I think for how little time I spend on them, I do think they look pretty good. At least I'm happy with them. And yeah, I just thought I'd make this little tutorial to share with you guys. It's always handy for me, as I like to jump around from project to project, so then I can sort of come back to reference this, just in case I forget how I paint some of the schemes. So on this channel you might see more paint schemes appear for other armies and other miniatures, more or less just so I can remember how I paint them as I bounce around from many different projects. So I've also got some Bladeguard veterans here as well, just to show them off as well. There's some other miniatures from this army, and you can find them all if you just follow our social links down the bottom, such as Instagram. I post a lot of stuff on there. So yeah, if you have enjoyed watching this video, then please do give it a thumbs up. Hopefully it's useful to someone. If these videos are just useful to one person, then that is really awesome. That makes them worthwhile. So all I have to say is thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again in the next video.